Welcome to the Common Humanity podcast, where we are here to have real human conversations. Today, I am joined by Wesley, who goes by Wes, and we are going to find out a little bit about who he is, and I'm really excited to know more. I met him at a poetry open mic, which was super fun, and we have other things in common too, which I'm going to learn more about in the next hour. So, my first question for you, Wes, is who are you?
Well, when Chris briefed me on this with this question, and luckily Chris being your significant other, I guess I'll say, but so I don't know if you've ever so okay, let me start like this. I am a consciousness in a body when it really comes down to it. I am the sum total of chemical reactions and experiences that is inside of a brain, that it resides inside of a skull, that resides on top of a body, that resides on the planet Earth, which is a ball of molten rock on the inside floating around space.
That's
um,
accurate.
yeah. So um, I there's a book which is what I was going to go into. That's called The Untethered Soul.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've ever heard of it or read it or anything. It is absolutely amazing, and it talks about something with that question about how people, you ask them who they are, and they talk about, well, my name's Wesley, and it's like, no, I didn't ask what your name is. I asked who you are. Well, oh, I go to LCCC where I'm currently. No, not where are you located or what do you do, like who are you, when it really comes down to it for me, outside of the whole spiel of being a consciousness, like I believe in the spirit. So I am a spirit that was put in this beautiful shell that is Wesley Benson. So yeah.
Can I ask, where do you feel like your spirit comes from?
My spirit comes from my higher power. I in the terms of normal worldly culture, you would call me religious. In the terms of the way that I experience my higher power, it would be more of a personal relationship.
Okay.
So I believe that my spirit comes from that. But at the same time, I would say, almost a little too educated because sometimes my smarts get in the way. So we have so much of the human genome mapped, but we have some of it that we can't map, and is that the spirit, is that consciousness, so it could literally just be the sum total of all those chemical reactions that makes a unique structure that is a soul. So to answer the question, yes, I believe it comes from my higher power, but I can neither confirm nor deny, the existence of said higher power. Nobody can, you know.
I really I love that you believe in your higher power and can also neither confirm nor deny its existence.
Yeah.
I think that is a very beautiful um how to put it, like something to admit, because I feel like there's a lot of people who are very certain that
Hmm.
they are right about whatever their belief is. But I
Right.
really think that there is a lot of beauty in that, like, this is what I believe, and I could be wrong, or I could have no idea, like, and I think that's one of the brilliant things about humanity. I think one of my favorite things about humanity is how imperfect and how flawed we are.
Yeah.
And yeah. Anyway, I could tangent onto that forever.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
So, um, as this consciousness in your meat suit, what do you what do you like to do with your time? How do you experience your life on this floating rock?
So, that's currently in this sack of meat on this floating rock. My experience is, so I'm a recovering addict. I'm a
Okay.
recovering addict that's on probation. Um, so being a recovering addict on probation, where the thing that I truly enjoy doing, but my soul yearns for, which is drugs, which I'm not promoting drugs at all, but that's just the honest fact of addiction. My experience is very much of a constant and conscious stay away from that,
Hmm.
but it's not like a daily task, it's how do I elevate my mind past the old ways, how do I elevate my soul past the old ways. So what I like to do, is, like I said, I'm a very spiritual person, and by that I mean, do I meditate daily? No, but I hear the best way that I heard meditation put is it's just a deeper form of thinking,
Hmm.
for this, that's like the how to for dummies version,
Yeah.
and so I spend a lot of time in that deeper form of thinking, because I have a thinking disease. So I just got a camera for Christmas. It's a Canon, it's like a professional camera. So I spend some time taking pictures of things. I love to write. We met at the poetry thing. I've seen you at the gym before, but we've never ever talked. um and so I do love to write. Poetry is relatively new for me. I write novels. Um, I love um, I love media. So I love the art of turning. Since I'm a writer, I love the art of turning writing into a movie, into a show. So that's my really fancy way of saying I'm lazy and I like to watch TV. um, I do competitive bodybuilding. I haven't done a show since I think 2019, which is a while ago now, I guess, but addiction. So I live in the gym. It's my thing. Um, Currently, the most I spend a lot of time with God too. I should have said that first, honestly, because that's like the most important things in my life, if not the most important. Um, but I'm just working on a future right now. I mean, I spent 10 years standing still behind a pipe, so um I finally got to the point of, I want more, so I have to do different, you know
Yeah.
so that's my current experience, is doing different. That includes school, that includes not doing drugs. Includes not going to the bar when I don't think there's anything else to do, stuff like that.
Okay. I'm gonna have to try to keep my train of thought on track because I have so many questions for you right now.
Hmm.
Let's go light, a little lighter. What's your favorite thing to take pictures of?
Man, so that's another part why I was talking about I'm in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and on probation and stuff like that. I love um wildlife and nature photography. Wildlife, I don't necessarily have the tools right now for that. You need one hell of a zoom because you don't want to get close to some things. Some things won't let you get close to them. Um, I am in love with mountains. I cannot express how much I am in love with mountains. I genuinely feel when I am next to a large pile of rocks, I genuinely feel like somehow I am connected to them. And I mean, depending on how scientific you want to go, we all came from those things. We all came from minerals and the ocean, which all of this used to be underwater. So, um, yeah, I love mountains, and primarily I would say streams, lakes, puddles.
I love that you added puddles
Yeah.
because I don't do like photography as a thing, but like I have a camera and I used to take
Hmm.
more pictures. And my favorite thing was always like taking pictures of what I felt like was like the unseen things
Yeah.
because there's a lot of people who take pictures of mountains and
Hmm.
streams and
Hmm.
lakes, but there's less people who take pictures of puddles.
Right.
Um, my favorite was always alleys, and alleys before they were decorated with beautiful street art,
Right.
like just like
Right.
fucking dumpster bins in
Boom.
alleys. And I love like fire escapes.
Mm,
Um, because
it's
I think there's a lot of beauty in the things that have gone
yeah,
overlooked.
yeah,
So I really like that you added puddles because I think that they matter just as much as the lakes that, you know, tourists visit on a regular basis.
right. Some of the most powerful pictures for me, I was gonna say that you could see, but that generalizes everybody. One of the most powerful genres of pictures is urban photography, alleys, and stuff like that. Um, especially when you put it in black and white. For some reason, it catches my eye. But people expect photography to be beautiful.
Mhm.
When you take a photograph of someone that's in pain, you see those uh I don't know. You'll see commercials where they have people crying and they're in famine and stuff like that in other
Mhm.
countries. And it moves you. I can Google mountains and just like you said, get a whole bunch of stuff, but who's taking pictures of like what's really real? The things about like the puddles and little stuff like that. Another thing with the alleys, it's crazy. I'm gonna have to show it to you the next time I see you. I took a picture of a trash bin in front of a school, and just the way that it's like faded and kids are like hitting their hands on it, it looks like a pastel painting. It's I think it's amazing. Like I don't know why I keep showing it to people, and I'm like, this touches me in the
Yeah.
heart, and I don't know why, but the thing I like about photography and taking pictures of like puddles and small things like that is because in my mind, this may not be accurate, but I drop a rock in that puddle and watch that stuff go, watch the waves go out and take a picture of it. That's never going to look like that again, ever, ever. So whether it looks like a masterful art piece, I captured something that nobody's ever going to see again, except for on my camera.
Yep.
And that's the beauty of photography. And that's like um, I would like to go somewhere and it sounds kind of dark, but take pictures of a natural disaster or something before, because that's a profound moment that shaped history, shaped geography, a volcano or something like that. So, yeah.
Can see that. I love that concept of capturing a moment in time. And I think to go back to, like you said, you like media, like you like TV and storytelling and things like that. That is one aspect where, like, as humans, we take what we've seen and then we create something like something between the realm of reality and fiction
Hmm.
to be consumed. And then the other side of art is that capturing that moment in time. And it's I mean the word you used was profound, and I fully agree with that, because though both of those things are beautiful in their own right, they can move you in incredibly different ways. um and then to your point on like pain and capturing pain in art, i think I think in whether it's in our society or humanity at large or whatever, I think we like to avoid pain as much as possible. And so I think that there's a bravery in and the people who go out and try to capture people's pain on film, whether it's still or like documentaries and things like that, um, and then share it. And then I also think there's bravery in the people who consume that, because there's definitely, and no shame to whatever people watch on TV, but like there's a there's a big difference between people who mostly watch Futurama and who mostly watch like documentaries about things that are happening for real in the world and what is happening to actual people. I watch both of those things. I enjoy both of those
Mm.
things. Um, but it's definitely like it has a different impact on you as an individual, and then also has a different impact on the world But yeah, that was a tangent, and then the thought fluttered off. So
No,
we'll leave it there for now.
no, it's a good tangent, and on the whole, like, on the pain thing, I don't know why. And I'm a thinker. I like to theorize. I like to not argue, but I like to debate and stuff like that. I Unfortunately, I am a man, so I like to win. So sometimes debates just turn into a one-sided thing, but hey, I was born this way. But I don't know why pain became and pain, mental health, and I don't know why those things became taboo in America. I used to think that it was a worldwide thing, that pain, but it's not, until I took a sociology class and I figured out that the major problems that we have in America are American problems. And we're the greatest country in the world, but we don't take care of our people, and we create this image. And this is something that I'm very strong on, is that we create an image and we want the image. We want to consume the image. No matter now, so this is going to be on something that's just my opinion. People don't want to know that life is ugly.
Right.
They want to feel that life is pretty. We have that white picket fence thought and this American dream. What the hell is the American dream? Because I haven't reached it. I believe sometime I will, my own version of it, but like, why can't people come out that they have problems and not have the same opportunity as people that don't show their problems?
Right.
Like, it's ridiculous. Like, for me being a recovering addict, I tell somebody that I'm an addict, and that can either be a congratulations or you're not getting this job. We
Right.
don't trust you, you know, which I wouldn't trust myself. I didn't trust myself and don't trust myself on drugs. But I don't do drugs anymore. But another tangent.
Yeah. So two tangents. One that we'll get back to is that I enjoy that you refer to yourself as an addict and not a recovering addict. Um, because as someone who is, I refer to myself as an addict, and I don't know what substances you used, but I feel like our substances were probably different. Because I've never really been a drug person. Um, but I've 100% like 100% addict. And I think that there is, so I don't believe that there's ever such thing as like being recovered. It's just like, I don't think that anybody is healed. I think we're in a perpetual state of healing and a perpetual state of recovering, because there's always going to be a trigger. And every time that there's a trigger, every time something doesn't go not just the right way, but every time life gets really hard, there's always that, like, I could always fall back onto those old habits. I could always fall back into the old way of doing things. And we have to actively resist that. And that's why I think that, like, for me, it's I am an addict and not I was an addict or I'm a recovering addict. Like, it's I am, and that is a constant, not necessarily battle, but it is a constant thing that I have to be aware of, because the way that you have to move through life as an addict will always be different from somebody who has never had that experience.
Absolutely. And so for anybody that is listening to this podcast, which this is good stuff here, because so addiction and to the whole nobody being healed part, true, so true. Um, and I'm glad that you are woke in that sense. Um, is so I was a person. Matter of fact, my one of my first semesters back to college in years past. We had the question is is addiction a disease or a choice? And it was in the English class, and we had to write a paper about it, and then we were going to have a debate about it in class, and the teacher was like, yeah, this is going to be a sensitive topic, but let's just go through it. Of course, I want you guys to talk to each other. If it gets too heated, we'll just stop everything. And my drug. So I am a drug addict, but I'm an addict. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, do it till you bleed. It doesn't matter. The only thing I feel like I haven't been like addicted to in a very extreme sense, which I'll explain more in a second, is food. Um, that's probably the only thing. Electronics, cars, literally everything. But so at that point in time, I was doing, I was probably 20 years old. Before that, I had been doing cocaine for about a solid year after I got out of high school. And then, long story short, I stopped doing cocaine and I went to school. So is addiction and disease are a choice? Clearly, it's a choice. I don't do cocaine anymore, was my thought back then. So I was talking about it, and me and this girl ended up getting into a very big, heated argument. She left crying because her dad died from alcoholism. And what I'm trying to get to right now, folks that are listening, um, that addiction, the disease of addiction, is a disease. Now, I made a choice to start using drugs, but I didn't choose to fiend for drugs. I made a choice to make bad choices. I did not choose the hell that comes after it. I may choose to smoke cigarettes. I did not choose cancer. I did not choose chemotherapy. And even if I chose chemotherapy, I did not choose my hair falling out. I didn't choose the shakes. I didn't choose all those things. Is a disease. Now, because I'm educated, um, the things that qualify something being a disease is it changes the normal structure and function of an organism, an organelle, or an overall organism structure, whatever. So the second that somebody smokes a cigarette, drinks soda for the first time, your brain creates pathways that it never had before due to that substance. That changes structure and function. Now, do you have a disease every time you drink soda? Of course not. Of course not. Usually diseases are things that are negative, so on and so forth. I'm not going to go into it too much. But anyways, the structures that I have made in my brain from almost a decade of doing drugs, they don't go away. Um, as the host has pointed out, there only takes one bad day, me not working a program, for me to hop back on those pathways actively and walk on those pathways. And whether or not I'm using, I believe that I just returned to active addiction because I'm now walking back in the old thing. I have a thinking disease. And if I go back into that old thinking, it's only a matter of time before I go back into drugs. Um, the true recovery, the true healing is when I die clean. That is when it's done, is when I am in the ground and hopefully didn't die from drugs. That is the only time. Besides that, and like I said earlier, not my existence, because my life is not shaped around my addiction. That'd be a hollow freaking life. But my day to day is figuring how I stay away from those pathways. It's so hilarious. Just last night, I'm doing a test for chemistry, and I just like, I'm smart, but you have to do conversions in chemistry. The last class I took for math in college was in like 2013, when I was like 19, dude, or 20 or something like that. I'm 30 years old. So they're all like math. I'm like, but anyways, I'm taking this test and it's on conversions. And I'm thinking that it's going to be like a 10 problem test. It's a 29 problem test, and I in my mind every single question is going to be on conversions, and I'm doing like two of them, get through first two with a breeze, do one, try really hard, fail it, the answer got it wrong, and then the next one I'm trying really hard and it gives you three times. I get to the second time of not doing this question right, and my mind goes, screw this, I'm gonna drop out of this class, I'm doing drugs. Just that quick. That's all it takes, you know? For normies, and I say that with quotations, people, if you aren't watching this, for normies, the first thought is, okay, let's back out of this, take a break, and see what I can do differently. For somebody that has a disease of addiction, my pathway is self-destruction, bad choice, the same stuff that I did that brought me comfort before, which is more times than not something that has wrecked my life, wrecked my family, wrecked all these things. For normies, I always tell people, I read it in a book, one of our literature for recovery, is that addicts find a way to cope with the pain of life. And coping is, this pain hurts. How do I figure out, the weight of this pain hurts. How do I figure out how to cope with being under this pain? Normies say, the weight of this pain sucks. How do I get out from under it? It's a difference of, let me stay in it and medicate, as opposed to let me get out of it and heal and grow. So that's my spiel.
I think I love that you brought up coping, because one of the things I talk about with people a lot is that like coping can be beneficial, and something that was at one point beneficial can become maladaptive.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can't think of an example right now, let me see if my brain can work quickly. So I'll use my life because I can. If you're in an abusive situation and you learn that the less you say, the safer you are.
Mm.
Like if you don't make them angry, you're not going to get hurt, right? So that becomes a coping mechanism. But with that coping mechanism, you also, like, it starts to bleed into the rest of your life. It starts to bleed into, like, you won't speak up at work to ask for a promotion or ask for a raise, because your neural pathways are formed that says, if you use your voice, you are in danger. And so you have this maladaptive coping mechanism that, yes, has probably kept you alive at some point, but the longer you go through that and the more you have in your life, it starts to be detrimental to your life. Because when someone's being, like, if someone's being unfair, you won't say, hey, that's unfair. Someone who's not your abuser, someone who's not even trying to be mean, but like something as simple as, like, I have a bunch of allergies. So at my old job, we would do like luncheons for people's birthdays. And people would be like, oh, well, can I bring this and this and this? And so like everybody else got a luncheon for my birthday, and I had to pack my own food because I couldn't say, can we bring things I can eat? Because like it's supposed to be a celebration of me because it's my birthday celebration, right? But everybody thinks about themselves, which is human nature. That's how you survive, as you think about yourself. But like, and that's just like a really simple example. There are way worse maladaptive coping mechanisms. For me, it's always been about control, and like literally I would say 90% of anything I would consider addictive in my life has been about control. And whether it's how much food I do or do not consume, what food I do or do not consume, where I spend my time, being a workaholic. And so like if I control my schedule from the moment I wake up until the moment I go to bed, then I don't have time for anybody else to like interrupt those things, right? But they're maladaptive. Are they things that, I mean, there have been times in my life where being a workaholic have kept me out of a home life that was not good. So it was serving a purpose, but now that I have like a blossoming home life, like I want to see my kids, I want to be social, I want to do those things. Now I'm working against myself, trying to be like, no, I now work at a job where they're like, these are the amount of hours you're allowed to work. You're not allowed to work 80 hours a week because it's not even necessary and it's not good for you. And so I'm fighting myself saying, okay, I have to clock out when it's time for me to clock out because my brain is saying, well, we just have to get one more thing done, completely forgetting that I'm no longer in a situation that I'm trying to avoid at home, if that makes sense. But that's one of the things about coping that is, I don't know, it's one of those things that I try to hold back judgment from because coping serves a purpose. But like you said, the goal is to get out of coping. The goal is to not, like, we don't want to cope through our lives. We want to be able to live our lives and experience our lives and not just survive it. And I think that's where that difference is when you're coping, you're just trying to get through, you're just surviving. And when you get to the other side where you can get out from underneath whatever those things are, which I think is entirely possible, because one of the beautiful things about the human brain is that we have neuroplasticity. Like, it is always changing, it is always growing, but it's never like you don't get to erase what has already happened, you get to add to it. So you don't get to say, I'm never going to see this trigger and be affected by it again. It's that next time you see that trigger, you might have new knowledge, you might have a new experience that goes to, like, maybe that the way I did it was not the only way. But in order to get to that point, you have to allow yourself to experience good things, which I think is really hard, coming from trauma and addiction, because you spend so much of your life in that survival that believing that there's something else, I think, is one of the hardest hurdles to get over, in my experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Something to come up with what you said before you got into your awesome examples is like, yeah, no, coping does, everything has its time and its place. Literally, you know, my drug addiction had its time and its place. Do I know the benefits that came from it? And I know the destruction that came from it. But with coping and finding those things, like even staying quiet in an abusive relationship. It's like, when did, and this is a question towards you, this is rhetorical. It's like, when does what you ran to become what you're trapped in?
Right.
And that's one of those biggest things is when I'll just say I won't say we. When I have an experience that creates trauma or is something that is amazing, and I try to build a wall around that experience, whether it's to keep people out or keep that experience in. The only thing I did was build a wall around myself, which only will turn into a prison. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If I'm trying to hold on to the relationship I had 5 years ago, it's gone. I'm not in that relationship anymore. And I'm holding on to it, and I'm trying to find a person that's exactly like that person. Not going to happen. All I did was create a wall that kept out other people. If I'm holding on to something that kept me safe, a thought pattern or something. So when I got out of jail, um, one of the last times I got out of jail, because there was several times, I got out of jail with, I think, 9 felony convictions, and none of them that were pretty at all. And so finding friends is immensely hard for me. Um, um, Luckily, it's gotten better. I've acquired tools, and that's the thing, is acquiring tools. But I was afraid of people because people were very mean to me. Random people would come to my job and tell me to kill myself, save the judicial system money, random people, never seen people a day in my life, and they would come. And so I was literally afraid to talk to people. And me, I hate living in fear. Um, Now I really hate it, but staying home was what I needed to do for a while because people were very nasty. But then I started missing people. And if I'm going to stay at home and be sad that I have no friends, when did what I ran to become what I was trapped in? My house was a safe place. Now it's a prison. Um, and then just to like hit on all the things you said because they were so good. One of the smallest things for me is I had absolutely no self worth or self acceptance after all of my convictions, and so the thing for me was if I make my outsides beautiful, people will love me again. So I started going to the gym because it helped with drugs, but then that was my self-worth. But then I tell people all the time, like, that's cool. And those people are like, oh, well, that's a healthy addiction. Yeah, until COVID shuts down the world again, then what am I stuck with? I'm stuck with an empty shell because I can't work out. I'm not, I've got some weights at my house, but now I'm back in a prison where there's nobody. So everything has its time and its place, but I have to every day, I can't stay clean, can't stay happy, I can't stay healthy, I can't stay in a weight loss, deficit, whatever. I can't stay clean on yesterday's recovery. I have to recreate every day a new drive, a new toolbox, a new plan, and I got to keep the fire alive for change. And that's not just addiction. That's that's getting a new job. That's moving to a new place. I mean, it's literally that desire fire.
Yeah. Can I just say real quick, first of all, I loved that whole everything you just said. Um, a personal, I don't know if you saw me shaking my head, just like wanting to scream. So especially as someone whose most of my addictions have some in some way circulated around my body image. I fucking hate people who say it's a healthy addiction
Mm,
because I don't think that there's any such thing. And the amount of people, so my addictions have been um essentially what has led to anorexia, bulimia, orthorexia, an addiction to diet pills, which is not a chemical addiction. It is a mental addiction of like, I 100% know that they are doing nothing for my body. They are caffeine and diuretics. That is all they are. They
mm.
don't like, anyway, I know that. And there were almost decades of my life where I could not go a day without taking them because I did not trust that I could continue to look like the person that people expected me to look like without doing that.
Hmm.
The amount of times, like the last time that I got complimented on a daily basis, like people are like, oh my God, you look so great. You're so healthy. What are you doing? And I'm like, I haven't eaten in days. Like it was during COVID. I had the worst relapse into anorexia of my life.
Mm.
And I've been battling. Well, I can't say battling. I've been either accepting and like lovingly living in anorexia or battling like the idea that I need to fix that part of myself or develop a better relationship with food, as I would say now. Um, since I was 10, so 25 years, this is something I've been dealing with. And 26 years, because I just turned 36. I know how old I am. Thank you. But it was, and it pisses me off so much, especially as someone who works in the fitness industry, that there are so many people who are like, oh my God, you look so great. I'm just like, it reiterates to people so much that their body is more important than their health. Their body is more important than who they are. And I've been in recovery from disordered eating for 2 years, going on 2.5-ish. And of the things I've learned, people's bodies don't matter. Like, what their body can do 100% matters. Like, can you get up and down off the ground into your 80s? Fantastic.
Yeah.
Can you play with your grandkids or your kids? Or like, if you feel the need to go for a hike in a beautiful mountain, can you do it? Like, those things 100% matter. If you have fat on your body, but you can do whatever you want to do in your life, I don't think it matters. And it's so hard because there's such this, like, I spend way too much. I mean, again, I work in the fitness industry, so I spend a lot of time around people who have the concept that working out is a good addiction. It's not. Like, you can work out too much. Been there, done that. It is detrimental to your mental health. It is detrimental to your physical health. Like, everything, not just everything in moderation, but like you said, everything has a time and space. And learning how to listen to your body and know when your body needs rest. Okay, there's gonna be so many tangents right now. I could rant on this. Things that bother me are people who are like, because I think there's a very fine line between like people who say, if you don't feel like doing it that day, like, you still need to go to the gym and get something in. Like, if you're not feeling top notch, you should still get in and do something. And I used to be that person, but I also used to think that that is where my entire value lied. Exactly. Right. Exactly. But what I've learned is that if you go into the gym, and you don't have to feel 100% every time you go into the gym, but if you go into the gym feeling like shit, and you don't have the energy, you didn't sleep well last night, you didn't eat enough food, and you try to do whatever your program says to do at 100%, like, if you try to work out at 100% and you're only at 10%, like, your chances of injury skyrocket, and then it takes you out of the game. And I like things, like, there's more and more apps coming out, and even programs that you can take that, like, make you do a check-in beforehand. Like, did you eat well? Did you sleep well? Like, we're going to it and I think part of it is because as humans, we're not super great, and especially in our society, because we've been taught to ignore our body. Like, I'm gonna try not to tangent too much. Quick question. When you are hungry, what do you do?
Eat food.
Eat food. Right? Like, that's the answer. That's what the answer is supposed to be. But how many times have you heard someone say, if you're hungry, drink water?
The uninitiated, they say stuff like that all the time.
Right. Yeah. And mind you, I drink plenty of water.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're hungry, chew gum. If you're hungry, chew on some ice. Like, all of those things are things that are literally sold to people of, like, how to manage their weight, when in actuality, more people could manage their weight if they ate more and ate properly and used all of that energy that they're consuming to do the things they want to do. Anyway, but so I like that there are more things out there that are kind of forcing people to check in, because I feel like our society's kind of taught us not to check in with ourselves and just do what we're told. which I mean, we could tangent that into everything from like our education system to uh
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, to backtrack on some of the things you said. So there was the craziest thing. I was buying insurance last year, and I noticed how they had, like, my health insurance had X amount of free chiropractic adjustments a year.
mhm,
And my mom was like, "Yeah, because health insurance makes more money off of you the healthier you are." And it just blew my mind because, yeah, if I'm not going to the doctor and I'm not ringing up high doctor bills and they're not doing big payouts, they're just collecting hundreds of dollars a month from me for me being healthy. And I was like,
yeah,
that's crazy. Diet pills, workout fads, those people that you see on YouTube, they don't make money by you getting your goals. They make money off you needing to make your goals, or the idea that your body needs to be changed so that they can get paid helping you change it. I am I do competitive bodybuilding. Competitive bodybuilding is toxic as fuck because you need to look good, or you just spent 400. I mean, it's $400 just to get a fucking spray tan, you know? So it's either so and on the thing, because no, if you don't feel good, don't go to the gym. You do competitive bodybuilding, it don't matter how you feel. You get your ass in the gym because your competition did. It's
yeah,
not healthy at all. I don't put my value in being stage ready every day. I don't anymore. I used to. I accept myself for who I am. And that's called body positivity.
mhm,
you know, that's the most beautiful fucking people. I don't give a shit if you weigh 300 pounds or you look like a Greek statue. Are you happy with the way that you look and you're happy with your life? Because beautiful people, I've known beautiful, gorgeous women, man, gorgeous women that just aren't happy with themselves. And to be completely honest, I just don't, they're not pretty to me. They're not saying
right.
that they're not pretty. They're just not pretty to me. I've seen you're glowing because you're happy with who you are. Now, are you walking around like, oh, I'm a bad bitch? No, we
Never.
all have our own insecurities. She's like, I am. We all have our own insecurities, but I, 10 felonies in all and an addiction, I accept who I am and I know I'm gorgeous because of it. Now, we don't live in a society that's like that. We live in a society that, for marketing, you have to create a need for your product. The easiest way to create a need for the body is to show up. Dude, I was watching an ad that was about it was for a red light for your hair growth. There's a
Mhm.
chick in freaking booty shorts in front of a red light, not even on her head. Some attractive skinny female with a fat ass in front of a red light. And that's how they're marketing their head stuff. Why? Because if you grow hair, you're gonna get this attractive girl in Spanx. So, and I think it's the most disgusting thing how in our society we get spoon fed the wrong thing for profit.
Mhm,
I think it is the most disgusting part of humankind that there can be. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you look like. You are the way that you're supposed to be now. If you're not happy with it, you find somebody that's willing to help you and go and change it. If you're satisfied with the way that you look, you 300 pounds, boo boo, eat that ice cream. Like, keep it going. I'm not satisfied with the way that I look, but it doesn't make myself down on myself. It puts me in the gym,
right.
and that's the important thing. And um, I wish that was the big mass message that people would get. Um, and then the last thing I want to say, because I'm so passionate about this, because I'm also in the fitness industry, that's bachelor's and masters going for it, and stuff like that. But um, when I am looking and when people are looking in the mirror and you see something you don't like, what standard are you basing that off of? Are you basing that off of the Instagram post where that person has taken 2 years of steroids? Well, of course you don't look like that. You don't do steroids. Is your standard based off of that Victoria's Secret model who eats rice and throws up 3 times a day? That's not practical for your life. Like I base my standard when I think I put a picture up for on the thing for the little introductory thing. And that was one of the best I've looked in my life, and that was pre-show. So I know I can get back to that. That's what I base my standard off of, what I was in the past and what I know I can get to. Basing myself off of anything else is just not realistic. I'm either not going to get as big as somebody that's Ronnie Coleman, who's done more steroids than anybody in the world, probably, or I could look better. Either way, what's the point on trying to, do that? So
Yeah.
that's my pedestal on that.
So to bounce off of that, I would also like to say, so like, there are times when I feel like, yes, I love my body, and it depends on the time of day. It depends on the time of month. It depends on the
Mm,
lighting. It
mm,
depends on what I ate for breakfast that morning. And like our bodies fluctuate. And I think brain, come on. Um, well, okay, so let's go with Instagram, right? Instagram, I feel like has fucked up people's brains worse than magazines ever did, because it's like, I don't know if you know the statistics of how many people actually compete in bodybuilding, but I feel like Instagram makes it seem like everybody who is a bodybuilder
yeah.
is a fitness model, is like, so everybody sees this like that is what fitness is. But most people who compete in bodybuilding, because there are some who I feel like, in my experience, are like the noobs who just haven't figured it out yet.
Mm,
Um, like most people in bodybuilding will be the first people to tell you you are not supposed to be stage ready year round.
no,
Like it's terrible for your body to be at that low of a body
unhealthy.
fat
Yes.
percentage.
Yeah.
And so like, and even people, so like actors who like have to have that super ripped physique for a couple of shots, like they take all of those shots on 1 day or 2 days, and they literally starve themselves down and dehydrate themselves so that all of their muscles are showing, and then they sell it like that's how you're supposed to look on a day-to-day basis.
Mhm.
And that's just not true, because even those people, without the lighting, without the spray tan, without all of those things, without the post editing that happens to all of those things in visual media, without that, that is not what humans look like on a day-to-day basis.
No.
Even the most fit people in the world don't look like that on a regular day. It does not mean that they're not fit. It does not mean that they should hate themselves, but also the side note that your body literally needs fat to survive. Like you need fat for your brain to function. So like if you're going to choose abs, or I should say visible abs, because I always tell people, everybody, because this is what I hear, especially from women, they're like, I want abs. I'm like, you have abs. Literally, if you didn't, you would not be standing up right now. Like you have abs, I promise. They just, you can't see them. That's the difference. But do you want visible abs, or do you want proper brain function? Because like long term, and I'm not saying everybody who has long-term visible abs doesn't have proper brain function, but like if you drop to a low enough body fat percentage, especially as a woman, like your hormones get all fucked up.
I've
Because
seen on stage, I've seen people that look so good fall out from complete dehydration and malnutrition on the stage, mid pose, pass the fuck out. It's not okay. Yeah.
that's why I like the sport of powerlifting, because it encourages me to eat lots of stuff and lift heavy things.
Yo, and this is, I mean, respect to you, of course. But powerlifting girls are sexy as fuck. Like, you know, like this, like, I mean, to me, there's nothing sexier than a woman that can lift more than me. Like, what's up? You know? But yeah,
Oh,
I, when I, so when I get into, we were talking about owning a gym and stuff like that. So I want to have my own gym that's like Smart Sports, but I want to cater to, um, for anybody that doesn't know what Smart Sports is, it's a gym that is, well, it's a physical therapy center that has a gym.
yeah,
And they let people work out in their gym because some physical therapy centers don't do that. But so I want to have a place like that, but cater to bodybuilders, professional athletes, college athletes. I want to be professional, but I also want to have vocational rehab for people that get injured on the job because workman comp checks, they pay a lot. But anyways, and so I have a I haven't been on Instagram in a long time. But I have, so I don't know if they deleted my fitness profile, but I have a profile, and I people will use their platform to troll other people. You know, oh, this guy said to do this to work out. That's stupid. Do this, you know. Um, I'm all about body positivity. I've any way that somebody has felt, you know, the people will look at me and think that I'm like this normal person, quote unquote normal person. I mean, man, I've tried to kill myself. I've felt disgusting in my own skin. I've felt a lot of bad things, you know. But I want to, as a somebody that has came from that, you know, the other day I had was working out and I looked down, saw old cut scars on my leg, you know. I want to be able to tell people that you can come from that and be happy again if you choose to be. Now, there's not always every day I can go outside and just say, I'm going to be happy today and I'm going to be happy. But it's the pursuit of happiness, not Will Smith's pursuit of happiness. It's the pursuit of happiness that takes a choice.
yeah,
And you can be happy with your body. And that does not mean 30 pounds lighter, unless that's your standard, not
yeah,
anybody else's, you know? So, yeah.
yeah. Anytime someone comes to me and says they need to lose weight, my first question is why? Like it, and it's usually more like, what makes you think that? Like, where is that coming from? Because if it's coming from inside, the next question is whose voice inside of you? Because we all
Mm,
have voices, whether it's from media or from parents or from like an ex who didn't think that we were pretty enough or whatever. We all have other people's voices inside of our heads that sound a lot like our voice because we've heard it so
mm,
much and then we started repeating
mm,
it. So whenever someone they're when they're the first thing out of their mouth is like they need to lose weight, I always try to figure out where the root of that is and then go into the like, is it weight you need to lose or is it fat you want to lose? Because those aren't the same
two
thing.
different things. Yes. Amen. Thank you so much.
And then um talking to them about like what it like trying to actually find what it is they're looking for. Like, are they actually looking to like feel better in their clothes? Okay, we can do that. Are you looking to feel like you have more energy? We can do that. None of those things have a direct correlation to weight. And actually there's one of my clients, his so I train my focus is on athletes. Like I prepare people for competitions, whether it's powerlifting. I have a lot of like I'm not a runner and the most people who have reached out to me have been like, "Hey, can you help me with my running time?" Like and I'm like, "Yes, but also like and one of them's like an ultra marathoner and I'm like, "Oh my god." But one of my clients is his goal is to increase his pace. He's trying to pass a PT test. And he told me the other day, he was just like, I know this wasn't my goal and we've never worked on it, but I've lost 27 pounds since working with you because a lot of times, if you put weight loss on the, not necessarily on the back burner, but like if you focus on health and nutrition and moving your body, like your body will find its like set point where you're supposed to be. And sometimes then there's that mental work. Like for me, having to come to the realization that my set point is closer to 200 pounds than 150 pounds. And that's okay, because even though society told me that I was supposed to only weigh $150 because I'm a girl, if I actually look at my ancestry, my heritage, like what I'm actually built of, me healthy is heavier than that. So, do you have anything to say? Finish saying on that topic before we go into our game.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would. The last thing, and it's gonna be really quick, is I tell people, my clients, if they say I need to lose weight or something like that, um, and they want to like work out and gain more muscle and strength like that. Basically, anybody, somebody tells me they want to lose weight, I say, get rid of your scale, throw it away, put it in the closet or something. That is not an accurate representation of your journey. It's not. If you're working out, if you're lifting heavy weights, your fat, I mean, muscle weighs more than fat. So you can lose some fat but gain some muscle, and that scale is not going to represent it. That is the number one cause of people stopping their fitness journey that I have noticed, is them paying attention to the scale. I'm like, dude, do you feel better? Then
Mm-hmm.
it's working. Like, can you breathe better? Did you lift more than you did last week? I trust and believe. Oh, wait, your pants don't fit in a good way. They're too big. Like,
Yeah.
that's what's important, not the scale. But once again, society's like, oh, you need to weigh this much. It's, yeah, that's all
Yeah.
I got on that. Yeah.
Just a quick tangent on that. People come in different shapes and sizes so that everybody
Mm-hmm.
knows we are not all supposed to be the same.
For real.
Okay, so moving into our little random questions. You get to answer first because you're the guest. So the first one, name 2 places that make you very happy when you're there.
Oh man. So so the first place is kind of super generic, I guess, but that is my mother's presence. I'm a mama's boy, super bad. So, even though she gets on my nerves sometimes, that's my number one place. Um, the second would, which I'm sad I haven't been to in a while, would be the mountains, the Tetons specifically. I think that's my spirit animal, the Tetons. Uh,
Do you know what Tetons
Nuh-uh.
means? It means titties in French.
Oh, really?
Like the French came over and they were like, when Lewis and Clark, oh, my brain can work, saw them, they named them the Tetons because they look like 2 boobies.
That's probably why I feel so close to them.
Yeah. Um, so I would say 2 places that make me very happy when I'm there. I'm gonna say at the top of a completed squat rep, especially like heavy. Um, I feel like that's where I'm the most me, because squat is my strongest lift. It's where even when I'm unconfident in my squat, I'm still pretty confident in my squat. So, the top of a completed rep is probably one of my happiest places. And then I'm also not necessarily mountains, but just nature. Just like being outside, which I also have not done enough of. Um, it's just, I don't know. I plan on eventually just like faking my death and wandering into the woods. So, um, yeah, yeah. Okay. Second, it's not even a question. If you were a leader Name one thing you would change in society to improve the lives of many people.
If I was a leader, what would I do to improve? I would try to change equality standards. Um, for a very small example, and it's stupid to hate a place. I hate the state of Wyoming. Um, we call ourselves the equality state, and we've got some really bad equality problems. And especially in this country and stuff like that. How and I'm really don't want to go too far onto this, but I'm gonna just touch on a little bit, especially in this country, how veterans are not getting taken care of anymore. Um, how me as a felon, I get the ass end of everything in this country, even though it's everybody makes mistakes. People just didn't get caught for theirs.
Right.
But and then just another thing, just like with Native Americans, how they used this was literally their country, and now they own like Oklahoma, a part of it, and stuff like that. So, um, we can't move, we can't forward as a people if we're leaving people behind.
I agree completely. As a leader, I would say, and I feel like this goes back to something you said like really early on in like your introduction. Um, I would force people to learn how to communicate with one another. And um like early on you were talking about in some respects how like things just don't, I can't think of words right now. Like we don't know how to talk about
Mm.
things. We just want the happy, and we don't want all of the lifey things that come with
Mm-hmm.
being living organisms who have a consciousness. And I think a big part of that is that we don't know how to have hard conversations. You said you like to debate. I'm the same way. Um, and I think a big part of it is that we have taught generations of people that we don't talk about what might offend somebody because they're hard conversations. And I think if everybody learned how to have hard conversations, we would be able to make a lot more progress. Because if you don't, like, if you, going back to like managing anywhere, right? If nobody tells me that there's a problem, I can't fix it. So we have an equality problem. And there are a handful of people who are like, well, don't talk about it because like that's the nasty bad side of history and modern day that like makes us uncomfortable to say that we're Americans and we're letting all of this stuff happen. Then we have another side that is like, we're going to keep talking about it because if we don't talk about it, it's never going to change. So for me, it would be teaching people, teaching and expecting people to have hard conversations, because I think that would make the world in general a better place.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, last one. 10 years from now, what could you regret not doing more or less of in life?
So that's funny. I almost don't know how to answer this question because I am a person that truly does not live with regret. I feel like regret is for dead people. Because if I'm alive, I still got time to do it. You're never too old to do anything. There's old people running 4Ks and shit. Like, it's crazy what you can do when you put your mind to it. Um, if in 10 years, um, I was still doing drugs in a very destructive way, I would definitely regret not giving recovery a better chance. Um, you know, um, Besides that, I mean, um, everything else is it's just so obtainable. Now, because I am on probation, if I end up in prison and I am in prison in 10 years, I'll regret a whole bunch of shit. Actually, that's good.
I think I'm going to stick with something that has been kind of my goal recently, taking on a new job. It was a lot easier for me to be in recovery and to give myself the self-care that I needed when I had all day to do it. And taking on a new full-time job has made me have to kind of put the puzzle pieces together a little bit more. So still have this, going back to our conversation, like this habit, this neural pathway that says, like, put your stuff on the back burner and serve everybody else. And my goal is to not have the regret that I continued to do that. So it's a daily choice for me to say, like, here's something I'm proud of. I had to miss a little bit of my workout on Monday because staffing issues and whatever. And then on Thursday, I was supposed to be at a meeting at 5:30, and my brain went, well, we can just skip out on part of our workout and make it to the meeting on time. And I was like, no, this is my time. I'm volunteering my time for this meeting to plan this event. And if I'm 10 minutes late, that is okay, because I have to pour into my cup first before I can pour into somebody else's. And I like put my foot down. So that would be, that's the thing I'm working on. So that's what I'll say what I'm hoping not to regret in 10 years. I'm hoping in 10 years I've formed that neural pathway that says, you deserve to make sure that you are solid before you try to give away your pieces to somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, putting yourself first, and just to touch on that, because that's another good point that everybody should take away, is it's not always selfish and self-centered to put yourself first, because if you're not okay, how can you help anybody else be okay?
Mm-hmm.
And like for right now, with me going to like school and stuff like that, people will the response I'll have to people when I tell them sometimes not the best, because honesty without compassion is just abuse. So sometimes I'm honest without compassion.
Yeah.
But like I've put people before me for such a long time. And it's my time to get where I need to go. I've got to pour into myself. Or what can I give you? If I'm empty, what can I possibly give you? And when it comes down to it, are you going to do my schoolwork? Are you going to pay my bills? Are you going to pay my mental health bills when I'm having breakdowns because I put everything into you and not myself? If the answer is no to all those, I should probably take,
I
reevaluate.
agree.
Yeah.
Okay, my very last question for you. What is the one thing the world needs to know?
The one thing that the world needs to know is that it always gets better if you want it to.
I like that. It's full of hope. I like hope.
Yeah.
Well, Wes, thank you very much for joining me on the Common Humanity podcast and having a real human conversation with me. It has been a pleasure.